go. Right there. What you see in your peripheral vision, well, she's a little far behind again, but what you see in your peripheral vision is what you want. And now she's falling out. You're working so hard. Even a little bit more. There. Okay, keep going. Keep going. You had a chance to stop. Now you need to work a little bit. And hope. And just don't get yourself caught in a situation where you're pulling her to a hoe. You want to just make hoe be, because you said hoe and my body said we're going to stop together. I would almost make it more, when you send her this way, instead of making it a hind yield, I would almost make it more of a guiding her nose coming in and guiding her nose back around. Because I think the hind yield is what's getting her kind of caught up on top of you. If you send her and then guide, so you're going to change hands. So you're going to send her through, change hands, guide her nose back to the rail. You're going to keep kind of telling her to go to the rail when you make these turns. And then as soon as she gets beside you, you want to make sure that your body completely goes. So she knows that's where the good place was if I had just stopped there. Good? So basically you're going to want to be a nag for a while until she figures it out. As tiring as being a nag is. Yep. Change hands, send her nose back to the rail. Yep, there you go. That's what you want. And then as soon as she comes through, you want to turn your body so that way when she gets beside you, you're both facing the same way. So as soon as she comes through, you're going to turn your... There you go. Yes. Ooh. Okay. Okay, so I'm going to demonstrate that just real quick because she's getting to do a little more walking than feeling. Maybe you're communicating kind of a punishment, I should say. Ooh. Ooh. Pay attention. Ooh. Ooh. I see how she felt like, oh crap, I did something wrong, but wow, that's a nice place right there. Good. You're okay. You're allowed to look. You're okay. Good girl. Get up here. Ooh. Get up here. Good. Good. There you go. Good. Ooh. Ooh. Okay, see now she has no doubt what she should have done. Good girl. She's very scared to be. She wants to be told she did right. See how she's so, please love me, but I'm not sure? She wants that. You're going to get what you want from her on that connection level. She just needs to come out of that. She's afraid. She's overwhelmed. Aww. Defensive, poor girl. Good girl. Now see how, even though my body didn't say anything, but see how she's like, I'm probably supposed to do something. The other thing, I'm going to have you do that, and if we have time, I'll teach her one more thing, but it may be too much for today. Good girl. So that was all body language. She felt nothing on that line, right? It was completely me saying, now I might have to say, excuse me, I was talking. Now she's feeling it, but it's still certainly not anything aggressive. Now me backing up, she should come as a draw. She chose to not, so I'm going to say, hey, here. So here's where you would do the here, here, ooh. Here, 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 ooh. Good girl. Good girl. Good girl. Oh, sorry. Yeah, okay. You're on her main side. Yep. Good. There you go. Yep. She has a knee that tends to lock on her. I don't know if you've seen that before. She just did it again. She did it the one time when I said front. Well, more like she didn't have, like, I don't know how to describe it. Not hyperextended, but there you go. There you go. Right there. Good. And then when you can, relax. Even a little too loud. The rope was loud. The extra rope was loud. But you could have guided her kind of with energy. But I think the extra rope was more punishing. Yeah, that's okay. Too much support. But she didn't have a terrible reaction to it. It's like you didn't totally freak her out. Okay? Go ahead, hold there. Hold. Oh, she tried so hard. She was in the middle of a trip. Good girl. Yeah. That's nice. What she just said is, did I do good? And she stayed there. And then as soon as you touched her, she let herself with two movements to say, I did it okay, right? Those are the things that you're going to start paying attention to. It's like, oh man, she's really trying. She's trying to come out of that. Good girl. Yeah, nice. There you go. And then once she's where you want her to be, you're going to see if you can put your hands down to your side so she knows she found that sweet spot. Good. Good girl. Okay, see if you can back up together. I don't know if you backed up on this side yet or not. Good girl. Good. Okay, she has to stay straight. Good. Good. Okay, let me see what time we have. We have more than 10 minutes because my alarm didn't go off yet. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to teach her what I call a turn on the rail, which it's going to be easier for me to teach her, and then I'll show you, okay, because it's got a few details to it. You're okay. Good girl. Yeah, that's right. You stay with her. Okay, so I'm going to ask her to go that way, and I am going to yield her this time. I am going to ask her to come in here. Now, the turn on the rail is I'm going to expect her I'm going to turn, face her shoulder. I'm going to step back, which is going to be the draw. It's going to draw her into the space where my belly button is. Yes. Mm-hmm. And then as I step back, I'm going to draw her nose to my belly button. And then I'm going to, with my hand, tell her, now go that way. And then I'm going to use the rest of my body to push her shoulder back out to the rail. Literally, she's facing this way. I want her to flip.
Okay. But stay on the rail.
Yep. Okay. She's not really, I actually don't want her to walk anywhere.
Okay.
Her front feet are going to be allowed to move, obviously, to make that happen. But, ooh. It's going to be your change of direction on the circle. Okay. Or if you ever needed her to turn and face the other way without going anywhere. Okay. I'm not going to do it in both directions. I'm going to let her off the hook here. I teach it in one direction first. So, with a little turn signal on her face to help her know that bring her neck that way. You can. Again, I like letting her off the hook. I'm not trying to communicate anything more than just come with me here. So turn. And what that'll look like, good girl, what that'll look like on the circle, which we may be able to get to. I'm going to hand her back to you. I'm just going to show you what that would look like. So say she's going around me on the circle. What that'll look like is this. That'll be changing the direction. But what it's teaching her is to change the direction out there. Now, one of my little pop quizzes. If we were saying we were doing a circle and we wanted to add that to the circle today, where would be the best place in this arena to do it for the first time? Probably for the first 3 times. Yes. That's where it's most familiar, right? And if you do something 3 times and create the pattern, they can pick up their pattern wherever they last saw it. Okay? So anytime you teach her something, you want to now incorporate it into something bigger. Like, this is the word, now I'm going to make it a sentence. You want to make sure that you kind of give them a little extra help and show them where they learned the pattern. Okay, so go ahead and see if you can't ask her to do that turn there. And make sure you give her enough room that she can cross in front of you. Okay. So you don't pinch her into the wall. Back straight up. Good. And then you'd want to be back beside her. So basically, if I were to say suddenly, and if we teach them both sides, I would say, okay, now change directions. Normally, you would probably have just led her off and maybe like change like something, as opposed to just being able to go and off you go. Okay. So I might even do that where instead of incorporating it on the circle today, I might say, why don't we do that after? I'll have you do this 3 times on the rail. And make sure that, I snoozed instead of, hold on. I stopped, but I snoozed. Okay. So make sure that you're not automatically, you can make it in an invite with a kindness on the rope, but try to not make it like I grabbed her by the hand and said, hey, I need you to go over here. Because you want it to be her responsibility of she saw you turn and draw her. And then you guide her as if you were asking her to go out on the circle. So basically you've asked her to get into the circle and game position where you said, please come look at me, now go that way.
Okay.
Make sure you get enough out of her way. You gotta make sure you give her enough space that she can make that turn with front feet. As more of a backup, like you're gonna back up on an angle, but not like on a circle. So you're gonna back up. I've never found a good way to describe it. You're gonna back up like in almost like a triangle. Yeah. Like you're gonna try to make the point of a triangle.
Okay.
You're gonna notice too that she's gonna become much more responsive to everything that you try to tell her, because she's gonna think everything means something, which is good, because then she's always sure you're gonna give her good communication. Yes. Good. Okay, and yeah, so and instead of making it too much this way, you're going to try to do more, like you're going more towards the center, and you're going to drive her back out. So you're going to say that's the base of your triangle. You're going to try to make a perfect triangle with her. Okay, so you don't want to make sure that you don't come way over here and then drive her. You're going to want to give her the space, and then together you're going to go against the wall. You okay? That was interesting. She had a face of, should I defend myself? Because of me doing this at her. She had a look on her face that wasn't sure if she was going to have to defend herself. Good. Good job. Now, do you see how that could feel eventually where you could just go like this?
Yeah.
When she's out like on a circle, you could just say, hey, I need you to change. And it'll mean exactly the same thing to her. It'll look the same way, just in a more condensed version.
Okay.
So let's walk that way. And then when we get right here, we're going to ask her for a change of direction. And then you're going to walk off.
Okay.
Well, actually, what I'm going to do is I'm going to have you stop and then walk off. I want her to have it be a concentrated moment before she walks off, because I don't want it to be a complete change of direction yet. So much for the wind canceling little bobble thing. And then change direction. Good. And then walk. Yep. Good. Okay, now, if I can borrow her for a second, I want to introduce it to her on a circle, but I'm not going to have you practice it. I just want to introduce it to her so she knows that there's more to why we did that. Good girl. Good girl. Talking. Trying to remember which way she would have been facing. She was facing that way. See how her knee just did that again? The third time? Yes. There you go. Good girl. So like I said, I'm not going to teach it in both directions. So I'm going to just change. I'm going to have her stop and then I'll show it to her again. Now my body comes alive and says, I'm going to tell you something. And my energy is going to go on her shoulder, because that's what's telling her what to do with her front feet. And I'm going to tell her, stop. Your high yield, high yield, high yield, high yield. Good girl. I know. Greedy. Did you want to try that? I'm not going to have you practice that, but it's kind of a, yes, so she'll be going on the circle towards me. Yep. Yeah, I think it's the right knee. So make sure your intention is your eyes are to push her cheek and her shoulder in the direction of my truck or my vehicle there. Now, you got lucky there because you were actually pointing there, which would have pulled her to you. Remember, we want to point over her shoulder to help her better understand her nose needs to turn back behind her. Good. You want it to be a little more crisp, concentrated. So we're also going to do it back where she learned it.
Okay.
And you're going to. What she got the impression she was allowed to just kind of come in and then drive by you. Okay. I want her to believe that she was told, oh, you want me to finish the question? And do it out on the circle. So you want to make sure that your energy at her, so you've drawn her in, so your energy is to draw her in. She's going to look at you and then you're going to push her back. But you don't have to really do too much as far as like your actions, just your energy. So she's going to go, what? And you're going to go, oh. Right? Point over her shoulder, support, yep, and then support the other shoulder to go. Yep, good. Yep, and I would keep the tail of the line in your other hand as support if you have to push that shoulder more. So go ahead and hind yield her. Good. Good. She's not fully hind yielding. And what I would have you do is because it was with the intention of her turning and facing the inside of the circle. But what happened was you got to go way over there. So you want to make sure that as much as you can, stay here. Even if you have to go out and correct, the idea is you're going to come back to here. So that way she understood it was, oh, I was supposed to turn and face you in the circle. Otherwise, it just kind of changes the whole picture. Okay. But yeah, she's not yielding very well. That's something you can work on, getting crisper yields. Wiggle if she makes, there you go, good, good. That was nice. She asked and you gave her time to correct herself. I always say that with my kids. I rate my kids with the 27-second rule, which means if I say the word wrong, I have 27 seconds to correct it in case I actually did realize I said it wrong before they can jump down my throat about it. So there, you just gave her the 27-second rule. She guessed wrong, but she said, wait, this instead? And she got it right the second time. There you go, a little bit better. You caught yourself, you were about to pull her. Did you catch yourself? So what you're gonna want to do is you're gonna want to tell her nose to draw her nose in, and then point so she knows where her nose should go next.
Okay.
So the point, I think, is the part that's missing.
Yeah. Okay.
Oh, good girl. Okay, we'll try one more time. Good. And in a case like that, if she starts to encroach before she chooses the direction, I would back her another step away. So that way she doesn't spend so much time starting her circle on top of you. So now invite her nose in, change direction to point. There it is. All right. And then I would have given her a little more support on the shoulder only so that she didn't do the drive-by. And now, like I said, you can perfectly practice the wrong answer. So the drive-by is perfectly practiced, right? That became a pattern. So now she believes that is part of it. And then you have to always just give them the benefit of the doubt that they believe that's part of it. Right now you just have to be clear next time to say, okay, you know what? I don't really, like, I changed my mind. I don't really like it like that. But don't make her wrong because now you're going to start doing it differently. Just say, I've changed my mind. I want you to stay out there instead. Good girl. Why do you have a yellow tongue? What did you eat? What did you eat? Why do you have a yellow tongue? Good girl. So that was your time with her unless you wanted to keep working with her. Doesn't matter to me.
Should I do it again and make her not do a drive-by? Or try not to get her to do a drive-by?
As long as when you're clear, you know you're being clear. Does that make sense?
And to do that, so once she turns, just
So you're going to draw, point, support the shoulder. When you support the shoulder with the tail of the line, it's going to give her that extra push of energy to go, instead of coming in, she's going to go, oh, right? So you're going to put a little focus, extra focus on her shoulder. Yep. Good. And even that's a little bit of a drive-by. So what I would do, I would make her cross her front feet over or ask her to back further away from you so that she goes out on the circle instead of through. So this is where we could turn the out cue, where you're going to put your focus on her rib cage and tell her out, and you're going to throw, like, lob the tail of it, like, there you go, there it is. So at the end it was a little bit of a drive-by, but that's okay. The intention was correct. So you just gave up once you started to get it. Does that make sense? Like your body language said, okay, that's good. So then she just kind of followed through where she was. But you'll get it this time if you want to do it this time. So don't quit her. Once it looks like you got it, and you started to get it, and then you kind of relaxed, and then she said, okay. And then she just kind of stayed on her path where she needed to take one more step out onto the circle. Yeah, for sure. And then try to get her to cross her front feet over and go out on the circle that way. Good girl. Sometimes they pick up on our thoughts, like she feels you thinking you're going to do it there again. I would even ask her to go all the way around again, only because she's anticipating. We don't want her to do it herself. Okay. She's feeling you. She's feeling you thinking it. That's okay.
I felt like I was still pushing her, but she just...
So then if you have to, you can touch her with the tail of the line to say, oh, you didn't hear that? Here, let me give you a little more support. I always use that as support and always as like, oh, you didn't hear me? Here, let me give you a little more support. I try very hard not to use the line in any way that feels abusive, but just, hey, what, you didn't hear that? Let me turn it up a little bit. Because if you tap her, and it would have to be like a fan tap, not a lob, because a lob might make her move away, but it'll kind of make her move away in a casual way, where a little bit of a fan, make it like a fan. If you did that slightly at her shoulder and you actually had to touch her, I guarantee her response would be like, whoa, right? Almost overcorrected, which is okay. I'd rather her over-exaggerate the right answer than under-exaggerate. Yep. I'm actually going to do one more thing with you, too, because I want to fix that where she goes out on a circle like that. Good. I'm glad you did that, because you see her thinking it? She's like waiting for it instead of waiting for it. Yeah, she was anticipating the instructions instead of waiting for them to just be real. Yeah, well, and plus you're thinking it. So it's interesting how they can pick up on our thoughts. That's how they've survived for so many years. Yep. Shoulder.
My coordination wasn't there.
Yep, with the intention of actually causing that leather popper to lick her shoulder if necessary. So instead of, because you're kind of lobbing it at her, so the first time when you lobbed it at her and it wasn't successful, then it was almost like, shoo, kitty, shoo, right? So we want to make sure that when you make that decision and say it was ineffective, you see that she's still following this path, which is causing you a drive-by when she should have been out here. Then you would say, oh, you didn't hear me? And then you would give her something sharp to go, oh, okay, I heard that. Will it mess you up if you do it someplace different? Okay. Yep. Only because she's developed a pattern of believing she's supposed to do something there. So if we did it someplace different, we'll blow her mind. That's better? Yeah, don't let her fool you that she can't do it. She can do that. This might help. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to actually tell her to cross her front feet over but not lead. And this might help because I don't want her to do these like kind of casual leads out. So I'm going to tell her front feet to cross over. I'm not telling her to leave though. I'm not telling you to leave. Listen to me. Nope, nope, nope. You're okay though. Listen. Good. You're okay. Get her straight again. I need you straight. Wait. Pay attention. I need you straight. Move your foot that way in a second. Move. Yep, a little bit. Come on. Don't. Yeah, here you go. Thank you. I'm not telling you to leave. I'm not telling you to leave. But I'm talking. So see, I just made the rope make noise to say, but I am talking. Because otherwise I would have had to step in there. And I don't want to hit, like, I say hit, I hate that word, but I didn't want to make contact with her if not necessary. So what I would do is I would practice clean departures, so that would create a clean departure. Now she's still out on the circle. So if I were to kiss and say, she can just go. You're okay. Good girl. See how she can make those turns? She's capable of it. You just have to have your intention, just like that. She's capable of that, okay? So your intention has to be like, hey, I know your body can do this. I need you to do that for me. Okay, so that's still not that's being assertive in being a good leader without being mean. Like, there's nothing I did to her that was mean, but I had strong enough intention for her to go, yes, ma'am, I will do that. All right, I'm going to have you still, you want to try to do the, we'll leave her take the babies flat out, too. Yes, you're going to have her cross over her front, but not leave. Now, how you're going to do that is, okay, so did you see how I told her, but don't leave? Yes. So I said, but it means nothing about going forward. Even though I made the mistake earlier of sending her out on the circle without any verbal cue, so that was a little confusing to her because I was just telling her to go. But my energy there was, I'd like you to go. Where this time I was like, I'd like you to cross. So my body was much more different. So she could have, if we had more time together, she would understand what the difference was. So today, her being confused, I'm not mad about that.
Okay.
So you want your body to say, but I'm not asking you to leave. So you're going to be very square. And your intentions are, I just need you to cross over, but I'm just going to plan on looking at you standing there. Oh, you didn't hear me? Just, no, I don't want you to walk. Okay? You're going to point over. Don't pull. Don't pull. You don't need any tension in that line at all. Yep. 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 Okay, yep. Up. So at that point, you need to turn the volume up. You don't turn the volume back down until you get the response you're looking for. So this is all coming across as do-overs. There you go, and stop. Good. And in that case, too, what I would have done is I would have flipped my hand over, opened my hand, and dropped my hand. So I can give her the impression that she's done. Okay. But if you had your hand still in a cupping way, you would have caused a different motion on the line. She would have felt something on the line to respond to. Nope, that would create a different. So if I'm, I go like this.
Okay.
So this way, if my hand, I want my hand to be able to go down so she can feel that from me. But I also don't want to affect the line in any way to add any communication that I wasn't trying to give her. But just dropping it will give her a backup communication. And stop. Good. Very nice. I'd even go up and pet her for that. Even if it's just a touch. So her ears did go forward when you touched her. So she doesn't dislike that as much as she implied. Yep. Yep. Make sure that you feel like you're telling her with your intention what you want before you start adding all the extra support. So don't start swinging the rope until you feel like you need this. There you go. Until you feel like you need the support. Now, what I would do in that case, okay, that is she's still pretty much positioned for a drive-by, right? I want her pointed more out on the circle. So I would say to do one more step. See how good. Now see how you actually were about to start with that, and then you stopped, and then you actually saw that she didn't need it at all. Good. So we want to try to take down the volume when it's not necessary, so it's actually more effective when it is. So first ask with your intention. There you go. Good. And stop. Wiggle. Good. There you go. She felt your energy was on her shoulder. Your body was telling her shoulder to move. Even though your hand was still out here, and it could have been chasing her forward, but your body, I felt your body tell her to take that second step she took.
Okay. So this hand strong or this hand?
This hand. Because you were no longer needing to drive her, she made the turn.
Okay.
So you kept it out here as just like white noise.
Okay.
Or like the radio too loud kind of thing.
Okay.
So once she responded properly, I would have lowered this hand. But what was nice is that she responded to your body that second step.
Okay.
It had nothing to do with your hand at all, because your hand was not in a position to make that happen. Good. Good. So now what do you feel like you just did there? And then what did you feel like your language was? Excuse me, I'm talking to you. Right? Like, yeah, and that's exactly, like, I always think of what it would be if I verbalized it. I don't actually verbalize it unless I'm with people, just so that they can understand what I mean when I do certain things. But that's exactly what I would have been. Excuse me, I'm talking to you. Right? Because her attention should be 100% on you. If something distracts her, that's great, but either she has to keep responding properly, or she has to stop paying attention to something else. See if your body can tell her shoulder to move. So first you got to tell her nose to move. So that's the first thing you have to tell her to move. Make sure there's no tension on that line, so when she does leave, she doesn't get caught up in it. Yep. Now here's where you can put a little bump in the line and say, excuse me, I'm talking to you. Right? And then put your focus back on her nose. You can if it's only like you're thinking about, do I need to come over there?
Okay.
Right?
So that was my next go-to.
As long as it's not like full blown.
Okay.
Right? Because if you did it more in a, hey, you're not gonna listen, do I need to come over there? Okay. If it's kind of that sort of impression that she got, and she's gonna be like, no, I'm good, I'll do it. There. Oh, yep, more. Yep, you're gonna get it. You're gonna get it. That's nice. All those steps were she was asking questions, right? There was nothing about that she was doing wrong or for lack of wanting to try. She just didn't hear what you wanted as well. Did you tell she's like, I'm not sure,
Yeah.
right? So like I never punish them for not being sure, and she was thinking, like her efforts were there. She just didn't know what to do with her feet. Good girl. Now, see from there, see if using a turn signal, can you drive her shoulder away now? So this would be like, so you're gonna, if you were to keep her neck straight, how can you get her to face me? Yep. You shouldn't have to go with her, but I'm gonna ask you, why do you think she backed up? I mean, that to it, but no, that's not why. Yep, or what I do is I hook it over my thumb and I go like that.
Okay.
See how it doesn't affect the line?
Okay.
Where that affected the line.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, I want her to point towards me. Yep, there you go. Yep. 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 Keep us there. There. Good. Good girl. Mhm. Mhm. Yep. Everything has to. We have to do all the breadcrumbs first, and then never ever like come in here and say, "All right, I'm planning on doing it from the distance to the rail." And then let's just say she's like, "But I don't know what you want me to do," and you can tell like those thoughtful kind of steps. Never feel like you can't break it back down. Always, like, this is your relationship. This isn't like I said, like, oh, I'm sorry, maybe it was too big for you today. How about if I try it from here? And then say, okay, now, can we do it from here? Like, make her feel like a star all the time so she'll want to do everything for you. Anytime they feel overly punished and they see you coming, they're like, yeah, I don't think so. But if they always walk out going, wow, I feel pretty good about me. And you're like, hey, lady, me. You're a good girl. She's still sleeping. She's like flat out, too. Is she downhill? I don't remember if
Yeah.
Okay. Good girl. You can? Yep, so now, okay, so how, if you stay right there, how do you think you can turn and face that rope? From where you are. How would you tell her from where you are? There's one. Nope. You could, but she does. There's one way to help her. You can take contact on her nose to get her attention. See how she got? Okay, and now I would wave my hand right here to say, how about you turn your nose that way? Right? And you can do that from anywhere. Once they know the turn signal, they'll respond to the turn signal no matter how far away they are from you. Yep. There you go. Good girl. Good girl. Yep. And you kissed, so she walked. Okay? So she did nothing wrong. Good girl. Good girl. Where's her tongue? Where's her tongue yellow? What did you find out there? Huh? Okay, so why don't you see if you get her to do a turn? Kind of want to let the poor baby get her nap. See if you can get her to do the turn and stay out on the circle for her turn. Yep, so she can do change of direction on the circle, but you're not going to let her do a drive-by this time because you just spent the time. So, okay, there's a perfect example. We said, hey, we're having a problem with a drive-by. So what was broken was her understanding what to do with her front feet. So instead of just fighting with that and having her still not understand, we said, hey, let's concentrate on what you do with your front feet. So now you know better. Now let's try to add it back again. Right? So that's a perfect example of breaking it down and giving her a smaller bite. And you'll get to the point where you can just kind of give her the intention with your body where you don't have to get all down. You can just say, I expect you to back up. Like, imagine yourself, maybe it's tall grass, you have to have your head up over it, but imagine yourself like a cat in the grass, you're trying to drive her backwards. Yeah. So, hey, excuse me, I'm talking to you. And then you can turn it down, but just maintain the communication if she hasn't taken as many steps as you'd like. she goes forward, then you would just say, no, it's not what I said. So there, we allowed her to do kind of the same approaches out onto the circle that we just tried to fix, right? It's okay, but then it kind of just made no sense that we just did all that for her, right? So more turn her to me